Hello and welcome to another edition of the Akashic Portal Insights Weekly. We're getting close to the end of 2020 and moving into the week of Christmas, ending of Hanukkah. So if any of those are your celebrations or anything else, enjoy. So I'm Jen Dushin of jendushin.com, and I'm using the Illuminating Journey cards created by me with the help of the Akashic Records. And I'm going to reveal what's available. What can we know about this week, December 21st through the 27th? We do have the grand conjunction that's happening on the 21st, so we're in the midst of all of that. Jupiter and Saturn meeting at 0 degrees Aquarius, so that's pretty huge. A lot of energy, downloads, plasma coming into the world, so that's pretty exciting. And one of the things to focus on is this idea of releasing whatever it is into the light and connecting to something that you want more of. What do you want to embrace as we enter this new period? So powerful time. So let's see what the cards have to say. Well, first card is the Magic Bean. Haven't seen the Magic Bean in a while. And for those of you who don't know, the cards, there are 3 types of cards, and the Magic Bean falls under the tools. It's a tool that helps us understand how to navigate change. And we know we are in change because we can feel it. We've been experiencing COVID, and now we are experiencing the Grand Conjunction, and these things are all part of the change. Moving from Earth element and focus to air. And this magic bean speaks of the opportunity that's available to us now. The idea that comes to mind is this thing that we are in a space we have not been before, certainly not in living memory. And this gives us the opportunity to use the tools and experiences we're having in a new way, as if it were magic. There is an energy of magic that is around us that has not been here for a long time. So there's this opportunity to create something from the magic. Just inviting yourself to think about what would you do if you had magic as a tool, this idea of being able to focus your thoughts in different ways, see things in different ways, live differently, because you have this essence, the substance of magic that allows you to move away from what has trapped you, confined you, your old stories, into something that is a facilitator of change that expands you. So very exciting. Let's see what the second card is. And the second card is the 13 Soul Portal. This card has a lot going on. And in fact, if you were thinking about looking for the magic in this card, it is full of magic because it has the pearl, the idea of being connected to the sacred pearl within us, the pearl with our voices, the pearl of our breath, the pearl of our existence is here opening and expanding and allowing us to grow. And we have the phoenix. The phoenix that speaks about the immortality of the cycle of life, how death creates life. And that really talks to magic, doesn't it? The only thing that seems to match, oh, there's a bit of yellow, but is the little black seeds that are represented in the black unicorn. And then, of course, we have the great dragon. So we have these mystical creatures that remind us of how life works. Life works when we engage with magic, when we're willing to see beyond what we have seen, when we're willing to understand that our dreams and even sometimes our thoughts can hold us in a certain rhythm or in a certain column of being. And now we're expanding into greater spaces. And as I look, this almost looks like a figure of Neptune or a body in water that is formed, some kind of mermaid or merman or whatever, mer person in the water, creating something new. And of course, here we have the symbol of the snakes in a kind of everlasting knot, the continuation of life through the process of experience. And so to see that process, that reformation of life, not as something that's ending, but really it's the ending that creates the beginning. When we enter the end, we know we're entering the beginning. So there's a lot of action and movement that's happening here. Even as you go from the earth, kind of the fire of the earth, to the mirror, all the way across, continuing. There's just this constant like movement, this energy where one feeds the other, the phoenix that feeds the unicorn, that feeds the dragon, and between them bouncing these balls of pearl, of wisdom, the luster, the beauty, the rarity of that, of the beauty that is. And it's very much away from, yes, there's a building here, but it's very much away from the idea of buildings or structures that humans may consider necessary. And it's so much more of the kind of awakening the things inside our heads that we might think of as fantasy, and yet that is not fantasy. That is the way we create or recreate the evolution of our experiences by going through this. We're stepping into the magic. It's like these seeds are opening our eyes to all of the mystical and magical that's around us, that is waiting for us to embrace it. So this week feels incredibly magical. I know it's destined. I've been told it. I'm sure you know too. This is a time that's been long coming, and here it is. And so we're stepping into this portal, this gateway of extreme expansion, of opening, of what's available and what we can see and be attuned to, and what we're willing to release or let go of, so we can step more certainly on a path that may appear to be fantasy. And so what's the fantasy? What's the reality? Are our thoughts that have kept us stuck or in a certain place, are those actually fantasy? And are the other ideas of the mystical and magical creatures that are alive, swimming in the water, playing with those pearls, are they the ones that are leading us? Are we following the pearls, the seeds of this magic, of this incredible expansion and opening and potential? And then the third card is the 12. And I know that this portal 12 has shown up a couple of times. What's so fascinating is about this 12 is the idea of the figure in the middle, which potentially could be you, right? And I'm just looking here. There is a figure in this one, but it's hard to see in the 13. You can't really see the figure of the person. It's more like coming alive, the awakening, like the awakening of the person, and then coming into the sense of liveliness, into kind of stepping out or coming out of this idea of being surrounded by knowledge, the existing knowledge that has been sacred to us, that we have worshipped and carried and repeated and learnt off by heart and practiced with so much fever, like this is it, this is how it is, this is life. And now the figure with the upside down raven facing these energies and this creature and speaking to it all, to the mystical buildings, to the magical creature, to the full moon, to the idea of flying books, that all knowledge does is bring us into a new place, like we've arrived at a place, at an entry point where we must choose a different path, and we must dedicate ourselves to a path that has meaning to us. So this card speaks to this idea of being uh, connected to our journey forward, to our willingness to travel light in the world, but really be here, be present with less things that might prevent us from being in the world. Like when we have a lot of things, it kind of acts as a protection against the world. When we're going out into the world to experience new things, to gain new wisdom, then we potentially have less possessions and more focus on becoming one with our wisdom, with the wisdom of the world, with the connection to what is out there, to seeing the magic. This card has that sense of such invitation to magic. You look around and it's like filled with letters that are falling everywhere, that are recreating themselves into new knowledge. That the things that perhaps we've worshipped that are moving in motion are changing just as we are changing, just like this card, how everything is changing around us. So that's really the reading of the week, is that we begin with this idea that we have the magic bean, we have this tool, this ability to see things we have not, to perceive in a new way, and to understand that things are in change. With the spreading of the magic beans, the seeds of magic, of what is mystical, what is unknown, what is unseen, is now become or is becoming the energy of transmission and transmutation. This is our currency going forward, is this being privy to this energy of what has been hidden, what may be conceived as magical and fantastical. And here it really speaks to it in this card, that whole awakening, or that kind of path of seeking the power and the wisdom of the sacred pearl, the pearls from our voice, the pearls of our heart, the pearls of our being, the pearls of being in existence, and moving into that place where we want to go forward, standing with that, knowing this is the time to let the words that have been so sacred and so much part of our lives, let the words melt into letters, and let the letters fly and float around as we travel in this space to learn new ways of being, as we remember the magic of being alive, as we recall what it is to be in tune with our spirit in conjunction with everything around us. It feels very much like everything is coming together in a whole new way, like all these things that have been suspended in time, waiting for change, are now suddenly like, okay, this is it. We're beginning. We're starting to morph and mutate and transform all around you. And so you will be forced, in a sense, to morph and mutate as well with all of this amazing stuff that's happening. It feels incredibly sacred. What an opportunity, an opening that is so delicious and so wonderful that we can step into. And even though difficult things may be happening around us, we are being supported, and we have the tools to engage in that kind of fantastical level and find the humor and the joy and the wonder of not knowing, and being surprised, and being taken on a path where we actually are choosing consciously choosing this fantastical path and going, this is for me, this isn't for me, let me ask more questions, and just expanding the land we are on by seeing the layers and the fantasy and the or the wonder of it with new eyes, the awareness of what is in the world that we may have never seen before. So it feels incredibly opening, expansive, exploratory. This idea of being in nature with your journey in a whole new way. So I'm wishing you an incredible week. May you truly feel the magic of this moment. May you truly step on your path as we go forward. Because that's what I'm doing. I know I'm here for a reason, and this is that moment I came for. So I am opening my eyes to see what else there is. What have I missed because I've been so focused on trying to fit in? And now I want to be open to the potential of what I am and how I can become something different. Likes, shares, follows are all adored and appreciated. Please share with me in a comment what came up for you. Perhaps you saw something I didn't. I'd love to hear. Have an amazing week, an amazing energy through the solstice, through this holiday, through the connection, even though it's not the same as normal years. But that's the beauty, that's the magic, right? Where's the magic in being in a time that is so different from the usual? What is the magic or the seed that can be planted in this? And if you want to get hold of me, you want to buy your own cards, there are links below, so you can do that. Until next week, I'm wishing you well.